Hello and welcome. Welcome to Kitchen Design Experts. This is the channel that tells you all you need to know about kitchens, kitchen design and kitchen appliances. Now today we're going to tackle that thornish subject of how to choose the colours for your kitchen, or perhaps more importantly, how not to choose the wrong colours for your kitchen. But before we start, I think I need to answer the questions we've been asked all the time via emails, where we get asked what area do we cover, where do we work. Now I think you can possibly tell from my accent we are UK based, and we work basically from the west side of the Pennines, Lancashire, Cheshire side, from Lancaster up in the north, right down to Shrewsbury in the south. And in that area we do the planning, the supply obviously, and the full installation project managed. We do supply the full UK, but only on a design and supply basis, not actually installation. So if you're interested, you need any help, you've got all our contact details in the description box that's linked to this video. Now then, let's get back to that colour problem. First of all, I'd like to say that when you look on YouTube, you'll see lots of videos about the latest trends in kitchens, the most fashionable colours in kitchens, what is up to date colour-wise in kitchens. Now, when you look at those videos, what you'll generally see is picture after picture after picture of kitchens coming across, most of them usually AI generated. The advice that we're going to give you here today is built around the fact that yes, we're an up and running kitchen studio. I personally been doing this for over 50 years, and we have helped thousands of people go through the complete process of how to buy a fitted kitchen, including choosing the colours. And we've had the benefit of seeing kitchens through from beginning to end and going around seeing those colours come to life in the actual finished job. And it's from that experience that the advice we're giving you today, that's where it's based. Common sense approach to how to choose your colours. Now obviously we're having to be generalised about this. It's a very subjective viewpoint, colours. I know what I like, you might like something completely different. But the advice today is going to be a very simple, basic way of starting the process of how you can introduce colour into your kitchen. So, the first bit of advice I would give you relating to those videos that are trendy and fashionable is please do not consider choosing a trendy or fashionable colour, because basically they become unfashionable and untrendy far too quickly. Your kitchen, the investment you make in this kitchen, has got to last you a long time. You've got to walk down every single morning, walk into that room and think, wow, this is fantastic. You do not want to think, ooh, looks a bit dated. And that's unfortunately where trendy and fashionable comes in. It dates. The next bit of advice we will give you really has nothing to do with colours at all, I suppose, but it's put the decision of which colour to have on the back burner to begin with. You must first of all get your design and cost sorted. In effect, so you know where you're going to go for your fitted kitchen, who's going to supply it to you. Because quite frankly, you can spend hours and hours looking at colours. I mean, if you look at this picture here, this is just part of our range. We've got over 4,000 colours to choose from. If you look behind me on this wall here, you can just see a small sample of some of the stronger colours that we do. We have an equal number of more neutral colours. And in actual fact, that's a colour wheel for one of our ranges, and you can choose any door style in any of those colours. As I say, over 4,000 combinations. So to come into our studio and to start to think, oh, let's choose a colour before the design and cost is organised. You don't even know if we're going to do your kitchen. And you can waste an awful lot of time looking at colours and then decide you're going to go somewhere else for your kitchen. Design and cost first, then you can relax. Put those on the back burner and bring the colours into the equation. The only perhaps time you should consider colours before the design and cost is with some of the mass-produced ranges. They have a much smaller range of colours available, and you have to be confident they do have something that you want. So perhaps that bit of advice does relate to the type of kitchen you're actually going to buy. So how do you actually start the process? What do you think of first? Now, our advice to our clients is think about tones. When I say tones, I mean dark and light tones. Usually in a kitchen there are three main fixtures: the floor, the kitchen cupboard door itself, and the kitchen worktop. You might say, wait a minute, there's four, what about the walls? Now usually, I would say 90, if not 95% of cases, what goes on the walls is either the worktop that's brought up the wall as a splashback, or we might pick out even the door colour and put that on the wall. So usually the wall is one of the colours that in the main three fixtures. If you're bringing in tiles, then yes, you've got to consider that separately, but generally we're looking at three fixtures. And in our opinion, when you're looking at tones, dark and light, one of those fixtures should be a darker tone and the other two should be lighter tones. And that seems to balance quite nicely. Now if you start to look at these CAD drawings, I can explain that a little bit further. Now these are CAD drawings of a kitchen that we've recently installed. Before I start to talk about tones on the CAD drawings, I'd like to talk about CAD drawings themselves. It can be extremely difficult to choose colours off small samples, and as you can see from this screen here, what a CAD drawing does is bring to life your kitchen design. And decent CAD systems you'll be able to introduce different colours onto them. So as I say, once your design is actually sorted, go to your kitchen company, get the CAD up on the big television screen and say, what would that look like in blue? What if we put a wood grain door at the top? Use the CAD system to help you choose colours. Now in this first CAD that you can see up here, the floor is the darker tone, and hence we've kept the unit doors and the worktops as a lighter tone. We have then picked out a bit of another highlight. You can see the breakfast bar at the end there, which is done in wood grain, and we've also picked the wood grain up each side of the hob on the wall. Behind the hob itself, the actual quartz runs up the wall. So you've got this consistency of colour. You've got basically a light door, a light top, and then we've introduced wood grain onto the floor, which is the darker tone, and a few of the accessories around there. Now I have to say that having a darker floor is one of the more popular ways of going about it, because you've got to think about cleaning your floor, especially if one of your entry doors comes from the garden, or you've got dogs or young children. Having a darker floor means to maintain it is much easier. So always bring that into the conversation as well. You want to think that your floor is going to be manageable under the different circumstances that exist in different households. Now basically that's just showing you a dark floor with light door and light top. This CAD system now shows you the same kitchen, exactly the same kitchen, but with a lighter floor and a darker work surface, still keeping the wood grain on the breakfast bar on each side of the hob. Now you can see straight away it's a completely different look. It transforms the kitchen from that first CAD drawing to the completely transformed. Word of warning about dark worktops, especially if the dark worktops are a polished surface like granite or quartz. They can show every splash mark, every cup mark, every oil splash. They are reflective, and if you've got a dark colour that's reflective, it can cause you problems. And also if you are using it as a splashback on the wall, you can see behind the hob here, it does darken that area quite a lot. So you have to bear that in mind and understand the whole effect that it's actually got on you. Now then, next CAD drawing that we bring up is a darker door. Lighter floor, lighter top. Again, still keeping the wood accessory colours. Now basically, when it comes to a darker door, you have to be careful, because some of the dark doors, blues, reds, greens, will start to set your colour scheme. You still need to think about colours that will tone in with other colours. This is more of a grey colour, but it's definitely the darker tone. We have to say that we prefer the darker tones to be on the floor or the worktop, i.e. the horizontal surfaces. Once you put the darker tone on the vertical surfaces, i.e. the doors, it does start to make the kitchen feel, I think, that little bit smaller. So a lot depends on the size of the room, but especially if you've got a smallish kitchen and your cupboards are going right up to the ceiling like they are on this design, you've got to consider that dark doors might make it feel a little bit oppressive. As well as being oppressive, you've also got to consider that a darker door is more likely to show finger marks, etc. Now, especially if it's gloss, and you do need to take this on board as well. However, there are new materials in the market already now which are anti-fingerprint materials. So if you are going or do want to go for a darker door, ask your kitchen retailer, your designer, do you have a range of anti-fingerprint doors? They are great, and I would always recommend going for those if you're having say a blue or a black or a dark red door. Now here are all three of those kitchens up on the screen again. And you can see they all do look very different. It's exactly the same design, we've just superimposed different tones onto the different areas in the kitchen. But basically all three of these kitchens are neutrally based. You can put stronger colours with these, and we do recommend that you bring your stronger colours out, not in the fixtures, but the stronger, brighter colours can come out in the accessories. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, first of all, let's look at this CAD drawing here. Here, I'd like to draw attention to the picture on the far wall. Now, many times it's really useful to find a work of art that you'd like to put into your kitchen and look at the colours that are in there. And then choose one of those colours to accessorise your kitchen. Now, in this particular CAD drawing, you can see that we've used blue out of the picture, and we've superimposed it onto the stools at the bar, the pendant lights over the island. If you look on the far window and the worktop next to the ovens, we've got blue ornaments and kettles, etc. And the rug in the foreground is also blue. So we've got this neutrally based kitchen, which with the darker floor still looks quite good, but we've introduced the stronger colour using a work of art on the wall to introduce that colour. Now this is the same CAD drawing and the same work of art on the wall, but now we've picked out that tan colour that's in the painting. And again, on the pendants, the ornaments, the stools and the rug at the front, we've picked out that colour. And you can see how any colour would go with this kitchen. So neutrality is key in our opinion, and then use your accessories to highlight the kitchen. Another thing I'd like to mention at this stage, when we're talking about highlights in a kitchen, we used to have a showroom up in Carnforth, just in the south of the lakes, and back in 1983 it was, and we had a window display which was a white floor, a white door, a white worktop and white appliances. In essence, a completely white kitchen. But we used to put a huge bowl of fresh green apples on the worktop. And the amount of people that walked into our studio and said that they really liked that green kitchen in the window. And when we said we didn't have a green kitchen in the window, they were surprised, and then went back and looked at it, and yes, it was just the fact it was accessorised with green apples on a very neutral background that suggested to people that it was a green kitchen. And you can do that with your own kitchen. It doesn't need much in a neutral based kitchen to add that colour. Now I'm just going to show you a quick video of one of our showroom displays which shows you how you can use highlights in a neutrally based kitchen. So here we have one of our showroom displays. Now I know what you're going to say. The three fixtures, the floor, the door and the worktop in this particular display, they're all light, which flies in the face of our previous advice really. The problem we have in a showroom is we want to put one floor down through the entire showroom, and we have to choose a floor that goes with most of the displays. And with this particular one, this floor with all the displays, maybe it's a little bit too light with this one display we have here. But what we've done to counteract that, as I think you can see, is we've introduced a warmer timber coloured breakfast bar on the reverse of the peninsula. And that is also picked up on the vegetable drawer, which is inside the kitchen there. And if you look at the back wall, there is a floating shelf there, which is also done in the wood grain, as is the shelf that we have here, with the actual shelf supports done in the wood grain as well. Now the other trick, of course, is when you've got a basically neutral coloured kitchen like this one is, you can use highlight colours. Now if you look on the actual bar itself here, what we've done, we've introduced blue, and there's also blue mats, etc. on the peninsula itself. And when it comes to artwork, you can bring colour into your artwork as well. Now, if you'd come here 2 weeks ago, it was Christmas time and that blue was actually red, and it worked perfectly well with this very neutrally based kitchen, because what you have here, basically, the three fixtures are fairly neutral and pale. Wood grain, although it does give you a slight contrast to the kitchen, it's still a neutral colour. And the splashback behind the hob we've done in black to match the black hob. So again, everything is neutral. So when it comes to adding accent colours, you can choose any colour you want and this kitchen would look great. And I always believe that a little bit of greenery also actually helps the cause, because I find that most plants blend into kitchens but can add that little bit of extra colour. Now then, what about split colour, you might ask? We do a lot of these, and according to a recent house survey, 31% of kitchens sold last year used a split colour. Now, basically, again, using that survey, 41% of the people that had split colour used white as that split colour. The rest would use a stronger colour, such as red, blue, green. You've got to think very carefully about split colours, and every design is different, and only certain designs lend themselves to a split colour. And yet again, that's where a CAD drawing really helps you to understand, if you're introducing split colour, where to do it. Let's return to that kitchen we've done before and I'll show you what I mean. Now, on this CAD drawing, you can see that we've introduced a dark blue on the back wall, all the tall housings that go up to the ceiling. Fine, you might say, that looks great. We've got the lighter coloured island and the darker coloured housings and base units on the far wall. However, when you do this, it does tend to throw the kitchen at you a little bit. We feel that anything above eye level, which is the wall cupboards and tall housings, ought to be in a lighter colour. So we much prefer to put the darker colour lower down, i.e. on the island. And here you can see that same kitchen again, but we've moved the blue from the back wall and we put it on the island. We like to think that the darker colours sort of sink to the bottom, so hence putting it on the island works well. And now at eye level you've got the lighter colours, and we feel that those lighter colours work better in that situation. So if you are thinking of putting a darker, stronger colour, go down below, not above. Here's the same picture again, taking out the blue and putting in a red. Again, not my cup of tea, but at least you can see it and it helps you make your decision whether or not it's going to be for you. Now, you might think all this talk about keeping your kitchen neutral and adding the colour in the accessories is safe and possibly boring. But I assure you that neutrality does not have to be boring. Elements of design can come into it that make the kitchen look interesting, even though the colours might be very neutral. I'm just going to show you a short video now of a kitchen we've done that emphasises this point. Right then, so here we have a neutrally based kitchen. Obviously it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but at least you can't say that it's boring. Now, one of the reasons that it's not boring is we've added an awful lot of interesting design features that adds that level of interest to the kitchen, irrespective of the fact that the main fixtures are all neutral. So let's just have a quick look at the colours that are in this kitchen. Now, as you can see, the walls themselves are all clad in black. There's a full wall there in black, and over the sink there, that is also clad in black, which matches the colour of the base cupboard doors, and indeed, if you look at the sink worktop, that is also black. Now, you might think that by introducing wall cladding and kitchen doors in black, that the overall effect will be very heavy and oppressive. But in this particular kitchen, there's quite a low ceiling, and once that's painted white, it contrasts fantastically with the black wall cladding. We've also left the two windows white with white reveals and white sills. And in the middle of the kitchen, the very large peninsula you can see is in a white corian. And the floor is also in a light colour. So you've got basically a black and white theme. But obviously black and white can be quite austere, it can be quite cold, a bit utilitarian sometimes. Now, what we've done with this particular kitchen is we've warmed it up. We've warmed it up with a wood grain finish. So you can see that there's a breakfast bar on the reverse of the peninsula done in a chunky 90mm thick wood grain. The back panel all the way along the back, and the support for the cantilevered drawer unit at the end is also in the wood grain. And if you look over in the far corner, in the same wooden material, there are two tall housings, oven and fridge, which I think when you clad the black around them really stand out. And to balance the two tall housings on the other side of the run, we have there a tambour shutter unit, which is also done inside in the wood grain, albeit it does have a black tambour shutter door on it. So basically in this kitchen, you can say there are 4 fixtures here. We've got the floor, the worktops and the door, as we've talked about before, but obviously the wall cladding itself is of interest. But all 4 of those features, black, white and wood grain, are neutrally based, and this means you can put virtually any colour you want with this kitchen. The colour could come out in the stools at the back of the bar, the pendant lights over the bar, or just splashes of colour like we've got here with a bowl of fruit, or the odd picture on the wall, or a plant even. Alright, to sum up, you've got to use the CAD system that your kitchen specialist offers. It really does help you put your colours where you want your colours to be, and it chooses which colours you actually want. I would then think about the tones, dark and light, where they're going to go, floor, door, top. And then from that, if you're going to introduce any strong colour, ask yourself the question, is it going to be on one of the fixtures, or is it going to be on the accessories, which gives you that little bit more flexibility down the line. And the last bit of advice I will give you is, this is your kitchen. Alright, take on board what other family members say, friends might say, but if they don't live in the house, it's your kitchen. You've got to do it your way. Now I hope that's helped a little bit. It is a difficult subject, as I say, it is so subjective, everybody has different ideas on it, but the method I've explained today will help you start off thinking about what to do with your kitchen, and hopefully when you come to put pen to paper, you've not chosen a colour that you're going to regret. Thanks for your time, see you again soon, bye bye.